I know I was flipping banners trying to get stuff squared away. Sorry about 90. Sorry about 906. Like I said, I was flipping banners and trying to get stuff squared away. So, morning Ropes, morning Dell. So, how was your night last night? I know how Dell's was. Why don't we just go ahead and start things here? We'll work our way forward as to the rest of the morning. So, once again, courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app, a very long evening ended this way.
Action continues at the goal to our left. Can Cohen be the hero? Malloy behind the ball, left to it, strikes it. Save! 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 Over the crossbar! Atlanta United wins in penalties! Josh Cohen is the hero! Atlanta United down to the final kick of the shootout. Cohen makes that save and then stones Aaron Malloy, and they're going to the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup in incredibly dramatic fashion.
And there you go. So Josh Cohen comes up big in a couple of different occasions, and we'll get into the X's and O's of it, and we'll get into the numbers. Tyler Pilgrim coming up in a couple of minutes. And Tyler had kind of a double reason for Charleston. And we'll get into that too. But a big win for Atlanta United in U.S. Open Cup. They are now 3 wins away from a trophy. Morning, Alex. Morning, Abby. Morning, Derek. And it was, I think, a statement and a reinforcement of the academy and the twos and what Atlanta United is building outside of bringing in the talent that they bring in. 9 changes in the starting lineup. And show of hands. And I want you to be honest as we're in opening kickoff. I'm just going to go ahead. And yeah, Unc, we'll get into that. And Unc, I know that we need to hook up as well when it comes to you and your Scarves. So like I said, DM me and we'll get it all squared away. Last night, 9 changes coming into the starting lineup for Atlanta United, considering that it is 9 matches in a 30-day stretch. 9 matches in a 30-day stretch. And I'm thankful that Mike and Jason did that math. So you end up with all of this activity. And last night for Atlanta United, it was a young lineup. I'd love to know what the average age of the group was. But the starting lineup, and you had some folks playing in some unfamiliar positions. Josh was in net. Your back 4, left to right. Ronald Hernandez, who wore the C. Luis Abram, Efren Morales, Matthew Edwards. Midfield, Nicholas Firmino, Ashton Gordon, Dax McCarty. Up top, Edwin Mosqueda, Jamal, and Luke Brennan. Your bench, Q, Alan Carlton, Stian Gregerson, Brooks Lennon, Daniel Rios, Bartok Schleich, Aiden Torres, and it was Williams as well. So that was your starting lineup. So Maddie Cruz, have you officially recovered from last night?
I took my nap. Everything's fine. You wanted to know the average age. According to SofaScore, Atlanta United's average age last night on the pitch was 25.4 years.
Okay. So that's that is not old, as the kids say. That is not old at all. But
no, it's not.
You ended up with a very, very young lineup. But looking at what happened last night, you got to see a lot of folks put in a lot of minutes. And I think we can now figure out who may and may not be around for the matchups happening simultaneously on the weekend involving Atlanta and LAFC and Atlanta United 2 heading up to Chattanooga to take on Chattanooga FC. I think we can figure out by the amount of minutes who might be active, who might be in an ice bath, and who will be just kind of taking it easy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll say it yesterday. I said it on Twitter, and I'll say it now. I don't know what anyone's talking about with the younger players not playing well.
Mm-hmm.
They played their excuse my language, they played their asses off.
Well, no, that's what we have the explicit warning for.
They played I thought they looked arguably some of the better players on the pitch for us. I mean, you had Ashton Gordon playing a position that he's never played in, as far as I'm concerned, playing in number 10, and he played it really well. And then you also had Matt Edwards, Luke Brennan absolutely going crazy on the right wing. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
Aiden Torres stepped up huge. He was wanting the ball. He wasn't shying away from any of it. I mean, and Carlton stepped up huge as well. So I'm really impressed with the younger players that did step up into this match and had an impact. Because I thought when Carlton came in, he really brought a spark. And honestly, if it was up to Carlton, I think he might have put one in the back of the net himself.
Yeah, and it's been fun to see Allen's development over time. Where, he probably still needs to gain about 15 pounds or so, but you see what you're seeing with Allen. You're getting that little. You're getting the flair. You're getting the sandpaper that's attached to him as well. It's like I still remember early in Allen's time with Atlanta United too, when he got checked into the ad boards in Birmingham. And that kind of, I don't know if that was the moment that kind of flipped the switch for him, but he literally got checked into the ad boards by one of the Crognali brothers. And from there, I thought that Allen hasn't taken any guff. He has taken nothing from nobody about nothing. And so he's more than happy to sit there and dance around you and force you into making a mistake, but he's not going to back down from anything. And to see what we got from Allen last night, coming in off the bench, I mean, you got to see a lot of young folks, and it was a lot of folks who put in 120 minutes too. And when you get to, like I said, I've not played the game professionally, so I do not know what it's like physically. But we've all been pushed to our limits, whether we're playing pickup or doing whatever. You with your kickboxing classes, I'm sure that you've hit a wall when you've done those kinds of things. By no means is it an active comparison. But in our lives, we have always hit that point where we think we've hit our limit. And then you find out that you haven't. And you can continue to pursue and pursue and pursue. And we got to see a lot of that from a lot of young players last night. And it was really, really cool to see Atlanta United, and especially the younger players, respond the way that they did.
Absolutely. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Charleston Battery had us beat in the first half. They did. Dell's right. They came into the first half and they really trampled over us. And it was hard in the first half. The second half, we responded very well. If you look back at the second half of that match, Brennan played really, really well. Mm-hmm. He was throwing in crosses. Him and Edwards were connecting really well. Again, it's a bit of a broken record, but the issue is finding that final third. Is finding that last person knocking in the back of the net. That was the whole message the whole night. I'm not being biased by saying that Atlanta had great moments by saying the academy kids shined, but I think saying that all of the kids didn't play well, that's not correct, and you can't say that.
So let's see the minutes that were on the board. By the way, Josh Cohen, no surprise, right? Punched in 8.7 last night on SofaScore. Ashton Gordon gave you 64. Bart Sleesh came in and in turn gave you, so now you're having me do math. So you had 64, so 26, and so 56 minutes from Bart Sleesh, 56 minutes from Daniel Rios. As Jamal gave you 64. Dax McCarty gave you 76 minutes. So Aiden Torres gave you 44 minutes. Brooks Lennon came in at the end. Luke Brennan gave you 86 minutes. So Brooks comes in, gives you 30. Same for Stian Gregerson, who came in on the Abram double switch as well. So Stian gave you 34 as he is getting to full song. And Alan Carlton coming in for Matt Edwards. So Alan Carlton gave you 30 on the night. So, I mean, it was really wild. I know that we're kind of processing things in 90 minutes and then another 100 and another 30 after that. But, Efren Morales, Matt Edwards comes in and gives you 100 minutes. Efren Morales, who, by the way, punched a 7.7 on SofaScore, went the full 120. Efra on the night, 6 clearances, 2 blocks, 5 picks, 2 tackles, 6 for 9 on his duels, had the 1 foul, 80 touches, 85% passing on those touches, had the one long ball as well. So Efra goes the full 120. Luis Abram goes 86. Ronald Hernandez at the back went the full 120. 4 clearances, a block, 2 picks, 2 dribbles passed, 2 for 6 on his duels, 87 touches, 75% passing, 3 crosses, 3 long balls on the day, 1 for 1 on his dribble. Nicholas Firmino had a 7.5 on SofaScore, went the full 120. 50 touches, 79% passing, 27 to 34, 1 long ball, 1 shot on target. And he was 3 of 4 on his ground duels, had another duel in the air. So 4 for 5 on his duels, fouled twice, 2 clearances, a block, a pick, and a tackle. So Nick goes the full 120. And we mentioned Dax. Luke Brennan on the day went 86 minutes, 67% passing, 2 for 3 on his crosses, 2 key passes, 1-2 ground duels, fouled 1 time, 1 tackle, 2 dribbles passed. Ashton Gordon, you mentioned Ashton Gordon. Let's go through Ashton's numbers real quick. Ashton Gordon, 64 minutes, 15 of 18 passing, in a position, as you said, he had not played. And so Ashton was in there, getting some work done yesterday. Edwin Mosqueda, by the way. Edwin Mosqueda went the full 120. 18 of 27 passing on 65 touches, 1 cross, 1 long ball. 10 of 18 on the ground for his duels. Obviously, he's not going to win anything in the air, but he ended up 50-50 on his duels, 5 successful dribble attempts, fouled twice, 2 clearances, 3 tackles, and a dribble passed. And Jamal up top at the point of the spear. Jamal went 64 minutes as he's trying to get back to full song. So you had a lot of folks go 120 minutes, which is crazy when you think about it. And just absolutely wild. And it's going to be, like I said, it's to see with LAFC coming to town. LAFC took care of business with Loudoun last night, and they're coming to town, but they had first-choice starters. Atlanta United did not. So we'll see what it looks like with LAFC coming to town, what their roster looks like versus what Atlanta United's roster will look like because of who they didn't play in addition to who LAFC did.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's going to be you had guys who literally played 120 minutes, and then some of them are likely going to have to turn around and play possibly on Saturday. It's going to be rough. But I will say, it was so fun getting to watch Charleston Battery with the way that they play.
Yeah.
I really was impressed with Juan Torres. I thought there were moments where he was going to just knock it in the back of the net, Thiago Almada style, and just free kick it up. I was wow, he was nuts.
Yeah.
And he was a great player to watch. I really enjoyed watching him play. I'm going to have to keep an eye on him as the years go on because he was very, very good.
Yeah, no doubt. And it would also help if I would send the link to everybody so they could jump into the show.
Don't worry. That's why I'm here. I sent it, so you're good.
Yeah. So it's I'm in the process of trying to get things done and punch things out and all this kind of stuff. And so naturally, it's my fault that Tyler's 4 minutes late. And we're just sitting here, we're riffing on minutes and things like this. And it's just But no, this is where Tyler drops in. First and foremost, how was the birthday, sir, with the oddly colored beverage?
It was good. That beverage was really good, actually. It's like a 5-hour drive, so it wasn't bad. But we knew we were going to spend the night and hang out for a little bit near the beach and go to some cool restaurants and then head out to the game. And then today we're going to spend all day at the beach chilling. So. It was nice.
Okay. Now that you've had a chance to recover from the hangover of Atlanta United, we were talking about all the youngins and all the minutes that got put into play. And the one guy that we haven't had the chance to talk about was the guy between the sticks. But your observations now that we've had the sum total of about 11 hours to think about what just happened.
It wasn't pretty football.
No. And you would anticipate with the 9 changes and all of the younger players and the integration that it wouldn't necessarily be that, at least to start.
Yeah, I mean, they came out, and I think everything about this, you have to preface it by saying Charleston Battery is a good team, and I know we've been shouting it from the rooftops for a week now, 2 weeks since everybody found out that the Battery is who Atlanta was going to be playing. But you have to give full credit to them because they came out, they played their game, and they executed it very well. And realistically, probably should have gone home with the win last night. You literally put this down to the final kick of the game. Josh Cohen is your savior, and you should be worshiping Josh Cohen. But, I think the most cohesive the team looked was as you got into the second half. I think Nick Firmino came to life. Mm-hmm. You had some good sequences where it was a little less predictable. It was more through the middle when you could make it happen. And, it was choppy because, again, you got tons of rotation, which you expect out of an Open Cup game regardless, right? When you have that much rotation on top of you're having this rough go of form just in general, it's a kind of a tough pill to swallow at times. But regardless, you came out with the win. You move forward. This is a competition where anything can happen. We all know that. Last night we had a flat soccer ball in the middle of the match. I don't know if that showed up on the TV, but just random things.
Yeah, those of us who were keeping an eye on things noticed that it was kind of a deflating experience at Patriots Point.
It was actually really funny when Dax received that ball. You could tell something was up with it, and then he was just like, "Hold up," and he just stopped everything, and then somebody went to go kick the ball, and you could hear it it just kind of was like a doink. It didn't go anywhere, and it hit the ground, and it just didn't move again at all. But that was but again, it's the Open Cup. What do you expect?
The magic of the Open Cup, everybody.
Yes.
Maddie for Tyler.
Ooh, okay. I'm trying to
as he drinks his recovering cup of hotel coffee this morning.
Yes.
We touched highly on some of the younger players, obviously. Who stuck out to you from those players that did step up and made the trip with Atlanta for this game?
Efrain Morales, for sure. I thought Efrain Morales was honestly one of the best players out there. I thought Luke Brennan did pretty well. I think he to me, he has so much talent. I think he just needs a little bit more experience. I think he needs to be a little more comfortable playing off his left foot, things like that. But I thought he looked pretty good. When Alan Carlton came on, I thought he gave you some pretty solid minutes. He's slippery, and he was fun to watch. And even the crowd, the Charleston crowd was keeping an eye on Alan Carlton when he came on. The moment he came on and started kind of doing some stuff on that near wing, he was impressing a lot of people. So Ashton Gordon got put out of position. I'm not gonna fault him a whole lot. He gave you effort, but again, it was just so choppy with the mixture of a starting lineup and things like that. But who else am I missing? Because there was a lot.
You got Edwards, you got Torres, you got Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Edwards was solid. I think him and Luke Brennan are. I don't know if I said Luke Brennan or Brooks Lennon a minute ago. I'm that tired, but I was talking about Luke Brennan. But Luke Brennan and Matt Edwards, I thought their connection, especially coming out of the half, was really, really good. And maybe it was more so because they were right there next to me and I could hear them. I was right on top of that wing. But they were communicating. They seemed to be more on the same page. And, Matt Edwards is going to go far, I feel, with this club. And if not with this club, he's going to make the jump at some point. So I think you got a lot of good performances. I just think it was not cohesive because, again, you got players that don't play together much and they have very minimal minutes together.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to take a while for that engine to get turned over, and you kind of sit there and it's like, okay, I'm hearing a noise in the car. You take out the ball peen hammer, you sit there and you hammer it a little bit, and then the noise quits, Yeah. And so then you end up what you get. And I would also say, and Dell probably can back us up on this, Ben Pierman's lack of desire to go to his bench until the extra 30 minutes. The 2:15s was finally when Ben Pierman decided, yeah, okay, I probably need to pull some dudes and bring in some folks off the bench to get me through that final 30 minutes, because I think that Pierman probably was banking on getting a goal in that first 90 where he wouldn't have to turn where he wouldn't have to turn everything over, and then he doesn't get the goal, and then he's like, okay, how much more can I manage with these guys, and am I getting anything out of them? I think I better start subbing now. And so with a team that doesn't necessarily have a deep bench, he finally had to put his cards on the table and was like, yeah, I kind of need to pull my starters who haven't been giving me anything, and I've got to bring in folks off the bench to give me fresh legs.
Yeah, and that is the eternal struggle of a coach. It's not as easy as it sounds. You think, all right, well, you go into a match, and when things aren't going the way that you want, and it's definitely different too in a match where you're going to go to extra time and potentially penalties, because all of that comes into your thought process. But I'm glad he didn't, because I feel like had he brought on maybe some other fresh legs a little earlier, might have caught Atlanta by surprise, and we'd be having a different conversation right now. I was actually kind of laughing because Jackson Conway and others, again, I'm right kind of behind that bench on that side, and
Yep.
Jackson Conway probably did like 6 miles of just warm-up running, just nonstop, like from like the midway through the first half all the way until he was subbed on in like the 118th minute or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then found out that, I mean, kudos to him for burying his penalty. But he's coming off an injury. So, like, I don't know that he was probably one that you wanted to have to put in. And it's kind of baffling that he even made the bench. But also, if you don't have enough players, right, to fill out a bench and do what you got to do, again, none of that's an easy process from a head coaching perspective.
Maddie, what else is on your mind with Tyler as he sips his hotel coffee this morning?
I do want to ask you a little bit about Charleston, just about their playing style. Who stood out to you in that matchup for Charleston? Anyone that you saw there? Like, what did you see from that side from last night?
I'm going to get some of these names wrong, but because I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but Dos Santos was very active on, I guess it would have been their left side, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nathan Dos Santos went the full 120, 6 clearances, 3 picks, 6 tackles, 10 of 12 on his duels in the overall, 77% passing on 82 touches, 3 long balls, and 2 successful dribbles. So he had a busy night.
Yeah. He was active. He's also very much and then this is coming totally from the perspective of somebody that doesn't watch Charleston Battery on a regular basis. He seemed very much a leader. I mean, he was very, very talkative, and that's not just because I was right there. I kind of kept an eye on him throughout the match, and he was very much, putting his voice out there, directing folks, and trying to make things happen. Their bigger center back, I think he was their right center back, if I'm not mistaken.
Leland Archer?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't get beat a ton. I mean, obviously, you keep a clean sheet and go to penalties, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
But he was giving everybody on that side a tough time. He was making it difficult for Atlanta to get anything going, especially up the middle. And that's a credit to obviously their entire defense and their structure. But, they did well. They were disciplined. And I think that's maybe one of the things that stood out more than anything is just how disciplined this team was. They came out with the game that they wanted to play, and they executed it. They had more shots than Atlanta. They definitely had more dangerous shots. They made Josh Cohen work. And I see Dell in here. He mentioned coming up to this match that their main goalkeeper probably had his nose broke in the Birmingham match.
Yep.
And he was walking around in the stands right next to me. And sure enough, I was like, oh, that's him, because he looked like he put on sunscreen and forgot to wipe it in. It was just
that's Adam Grin was for you.
Yeah, that was Adam Grin was. Yeah. So I mean, those are just two of the names that kind of stood out to me. I was maybe sadistically wanting to see Markanich do more than he did. I didn't want to see it because I didn't want Atlanta to lose. But
True.
I mean, he's a good forward, right? I mean, I think he's still in the Golden Boot race, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But Atlanta did a good job shutting him down as well. So you got to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, Markanich and MD Myers did not have good evenings. Markanich on the night, 87 minutes, 30 touches, 13 of 22 passing. So only 59% passing from Markanich with 22 passing attempts. 2 long balls. He was 3 of 6 on his duels, 2 of 5 in the air, 1 successful dribble, depossessed 12 times, and fouled once and had the 1 dribble past MD Myers. And to Dell's point, Markanich and MD Myers are far different than Jake LaCava and Jackson Conway. Myers on the night played the full 120, had the 2 shots on target, 1 shot off target, 38 touches, 14 of 20 passing, 2 key passes, 1 cross, 2 for 9 on his ground duels. So he was 3 of 12 overall. He was depossessed 12 times as well. 1 fouled twice, and 2 offsides. So MD Myers and Markanich, they were kept in check by Atlanta United on the night. And Dell was mentioning Aaron Malloy. Aaron Malloy, he was a pain in the you-know-what for Memphis 901 last year. And now that he is there, on the day, get this, Malloy being the fulcrum that he is, 110 touches on the night, playing a full 120 minutes, 76 of 90 passing. I can't remember the last time I've seen a number that high. 84% on 90 pass attempts, 4 crosses, 8 long balls, 8 of 13 on long balls, 4 for 10 on crosses. Then he was 6 of 13 on his duels, but he was dispossessed 20 times, and he had 4 tackles and 3 dribbles passed. So Aaron Malloy, definitely somebody to have in the spot shadow going forward for Charleston Battery. And the point that I was making to Maddie before she finally sent you the link to log into the show this morning is that we know, or at least we now have a better idea with who played 120, who we're going to be seeing, who might be on the bench, who might be sitting down, and who will not be playing in Chattanooga as the Twos go to Fort Finley to take on Chattanooga FC. I think that with these 120s that we saw across the board, some dudes are going to be putting their feet up, or at least walking around in flip-flops with ice bags on their knees this weekend. Yeah,
and Pineda said it after the match when we talked to him. You know, some of this was planned. You know, some of the subs were already planned. The one that I hate the most that you had to do, honestly, was Brooks Lennon.
Yeah.
Brooks Lennon, about 15 minutes into it, he looked gassed, and that's unusual for Brooks Lennon. I forget the penalty, like, because that can happen to anybody, right? Like that, it's a penalty shootout. Who knows what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. I am not knocking on Brooks Lennon for missing the penalty. It'd be what it be. But I hate that you had to use him because you're going to definitely need him against LA. And, you know, I mean, again, I know he came in at a reasonable time in a match, but you didn't want to have to go to 120 minutes. And he looked tired. But I think it's pretty obvious, like, we're not going to see Efrain Morales. Not going to see Nick Firmino.
Not going to see Edwin.
Definitely not going to see Edwin. So, like, there's definitely a handful that you're 100% not going to see this weekend, or with the Twos. But some of them are going to have to give you a little bit extra. I mean, you're going to see Slish, right? Miyumba didn't make the trip. Saba didn't make the trip. Shonda didn't make the trip, that tells you a lot there as well. Mm-hmm. You're not going to see Dax. You might not see Dax for like 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it gives LA a little bit of an advantage, even more so. And this is where the team's going to have to – they just got to dig deep, and they've got to get a result. And it doesn't matter if it's pretty or not. They're going to have to come out of this one against LA just having visions of ice baths and whatever else.
Last night, it took LA a little while, but LA took care of business against Loudoun. It was 1-0 at the break. They scored 2 in the second half. I think Loudoun finally ran out of gas. Denny Bouanga last night gave you 79 minutes. So makes you wonder. Tomas Angel was also up top. He gave you the full 90. Christian Oliveira started last night. He gave you 65. So that's your starting 3 up top. Bogish last night gave you the full 90. Ilie last night started, and Ilie only played 23 minutes. So that's got some spidey senses going on there. after what happened with him, and Atuesta came in to take Ilie's place after 23 minutes. Timothy Tillman started last night. Tillman gave you 65. Backline was Omar Campos, Eddie Segura, Maxime Chanot, and Sergi Palencia. Palencia, you're kind of used to seeing. He gave you 79. Eddie Segura playing at the back gave you the full 90. So it will be interesting as I raise the people's eyebrow and kind of squint a little bit because of the minutes that you see from a lot of their big guns here to get to that next stage in Open Cup. It makes you wonder what it's going to look like, and then obviously spot shadowing Ilie coming out after only 23 minutes. Just early returns on
What's that?
Just early returns on my staring at their lineup quickly and doing a dime store analysis.
Yeah. I wish they had gone 120 like Atlanta did. But, no, I mean, they're going to come here because it's not as if LA is having the season that they've had the past couple of seasons, right? Like they're solid, and this is not going to be an easy game at all for Atlanta.
Right.
But I think LA is feeling like they've got something to prove as well, considering the moves that they have made and the moves that they're about to make in the summer that are already official. So I wouldn't be surprised if the message is very similar to Atlanta's in terms of, yeah, I understand you just played pretty decent amount of time on short rest, but we need you to go give us something. Give us something and make the most of the minutes that you're getting. So,
yeah,
we'll see. But it's at home. Knock on wood. Knock on wood that the magic returns to the bins and you can come out with something good.
Yeah. Josh Cohen. I mean, we hadn't had the chance to talk about Josh and what he was able to do last night. And Josh's numbers are courtesy of our friends at SofaScore. 4 saves, 1 punch clear, 1 high claim, 3 saves from inside the box, 2 saves in the shootout, 60 touches, 41 of 44 passing, 93%, 5 of 8 on his long balls, 2 clearances. He actually won a ground duel and was fouled 1 time. So a very, very busy night for Josh, and Josh continues to sit here and have folks sit there, and Josh is going, hi, how you doing? Very, very active last night from Josh. Another solid performance.
4 clean sheets in a row. So let me take one step back. I got to say this because Maddie asked me about the Charleston players. I'll give you my man of the match for Charleston.
Yeah,
because as I sit here and I'm drinking my coffee, I'm remembering. I'm having a little bit of PTSD. The Sand Gnats in Charleston were the man of the match. Absolutely murdered me.
Wow.
Murdered me.
Wow.
I didn't realize they were going to be that bad. I mean, been in and around the beach. I know how bad they can be. But not thinking about being inside of a soccer stadium on a little patio, didn't think I was going to get destroyed like I did. So
let me get this straight. So you didn't take your
12th man.
You didn't take your SPF 50 to the ballpark.
Nope.
And you didn't take your dryer sheets to the ballpark.
Nope.
So you were 2 for 2.
I was coming in hot, and I totally look, the sunscreen, that was my fault. I ran out, and I was like, whatever. I was not thinking at all about bug spray or dryer sheets or whatever. I wasn't thinking that way at all. And they got me. So, if anybody comes to Patriots Point to watch a Charleston game, make sure you bring a couple of select items. All right. Yeah. Yeah. SPF 50 and bug spray.
And slash dryer sheets. Yes. And Hutch is like, don't forget your DEET if you're going to Charleston. Man, well, and Dell's like, yeah, well, I was fine. Well, it's because Dell, you're used to it. Dell knows how to operate in those conditions. So that's the fun part. I mean, but yeah, I mean, with LAFC coming to town, LAFC has not won a match on the road this year. I still don't know which Steve Cherundolo team we're going to be getting on a daily basis, because it's like, you getting that one, It's like he's become more defensive in his posturing with the firepower that he has. although he is bringing in one of the most handsome men in soccer. But that's down the road a little bit when Major League Soccer, for another marketing ploy, has the handsome men of MLS calendar, and it just seems to be all 12 pages of Olivier Giroud. But it's you just wonder what LAFC team you're going to be getting on a daily basis, and then you combine that with what we saw in the midweek with them having to compete in Open Cup, and you're like, I don't know. It's like Steve Cherundolo flipped a switch and went more defensive about a year ago, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, because the output hasn't been there, right? And if you're an Atlanta fan, I think you're looking at this one thinking, all right, well, maybe they're going to be a little choppy in the way that Atlanta has been as well, because you've got kind of a mix and match starting 11 and 18 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really bad time for Atlanta to go try to play a team that's all of a sudden decided they wanted to be defensive, though.
Yeah.
Atlanta's got to scrounge out some goals somewhere and just get that feeling back, because it's not that the talent's not there, right? Like, it's not that. There's just something is not clicking with this team in the attack. And admittedly, LAFC, regardless of necessarily who they put out defensively, is not going to make it easy at all, even though you're at home. I get that. And that's what makes it hard to predict, too. And that's also, again, coming in from an Open Cup match, like, that's what makes these kind of like double match week, especially when you involve an Open Cup where a team could play 120 minutes. You take all those factors into consideration, and the game after tends to be a crapshoot. Like, it really is kind of a coin flip. So you've got to go and be less predictable in the attack, I think, is going to be one of the bigger things. Hopefully you can get, Almada back for a little bit of time just to give you a little something different. Maybe
so basically what you're saying in the attack is that Atlanta United has to kind of do this. Like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. Yeah. They just kind of run down the stairs and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe a little more inside and not out to the wings as often. Be a little less predictable out here. Be a little, more engaged right through the middle. Yeah. Take a shot. We saw what happened with Slish when he decided to take a shot last weekend. it turned out well. And I think that's a lot of it. I mean, this is no like super involved technical, like, formational genius kind of chat, but like when you put your foot through the ball and you send it towards the goal, some good thing might happen. And Atlanta's just not putting tons of shots. They're sending in great crosses. They're getting into the final third, but they're not putting the ball towards the net as much as they need to and making a goalkeeper work. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes it just requires you. Yes, here we go. I don't have a whiteboard.
See, that's the thing, man. It's like you gotta have the whiteboard.
I know. I didn't pack it and bring it. But yeah, put ball towards net more often.
Put ball towards net. Yes,
we shall see.
Put ball towards net. I like that. All right. So, what else is on your mind? See, we haven't had the chance to talk since Nashville, and then you did, as a part of our formational genius chat, you did mention, put ball on boot and use outside of boot and have it go past Joe Willows. Now that you've had the chance to digest both Open Cup and Nashville, now we've talked a little bit about LAFC, we talked about Open Cup, but going back to Nashville, now that you've had a couple of days to think about it and apply it to what happened last night and apply it to what might be happening this weekend going forward against LAFC, what are some of your thoughts?
I mean, I kind of said this on our spaces last night, and I was met with some disagreements.
But gee, what a shock.
I know, right? Don't even get me started. But you take Nashville and you take this match, and it may not be trending upwards in the stock market way that you want it to go,
right?
But you've gotten two results, right? Like you got a result on the road against Nashville, which, taking all the other stuff away, that's still good. Like yeah, 3 points would have been great. 3 points would have been better. We know this. But you still went up there and you got something. And it could have gone either way. It really could have. Then you go over to Charleston and you scrounge out one of the most nail-biting wins you probably could have had. But you got the win. And Pineda said it really well last night, I think. I asked him, like, what is the mindset now going to LAFC? And what do you kind of tell the team? And he said, it's always easier to go into like recovery mode and get guys the time they need to recover fully coming off of a win, but especially a win like this. And, he mentioned at the last Open Cup match, like sometimes it's one of these kind of matches that can be the springboard. And if you're an Atlanta United fan, like that's what you have to hold on to, because we can sit here and, talk about the negativity, whether it's the coaching, the players, whatever you want to put it on, GG, this rumor, all this stuff, but you got to hold on to something. And you got to just hope that you've stopped the free fall and that you can go back home and handle business inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Because if you're not holding on to that hope, you didn't watch Ted Lasso, and you need to go watch it and just give yourself something to hold on to.
Ted Lasso is arguably my favorite show of all time. My car is literally named Roy Kent, so I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Forgot about that.
Oh, wow.
I love that show. It is so good.
Yep.
So basically, so let me get this straight. So Tyler, on Saturday afternoon, you're going to find a way to sneak into the locker room and put a Believe sign right in the middle of the locker room for Atlanta United. Is that how this is going to work?
I will plaster that sign all over the locker room. We're going to come in there after the fact, and it's going to be yellow and blue.
New color scheme.
Yes,
exactly. Well, it fits with the Resurgence kit.
Yeah, well, what you do is you do white and blue, and then that way you're tied into the Resurgence.
There you go.
I like it.
All right, so Maddie, what else is on your mind? I know you got to leave at the top of the hour along with Tyler, but what else is on your mind with Tyler this morning?
Oh gosh, man, I don't really know.
Okay,
I feel like we kind of covered everything, but
okay.
I mean, geez, it was so funny though. Like, obviously Josh Cohen, Open Cup savior. But I mean, when we went to penalties, I wasn't really worried. After obviously Battery got the first save with Lennon, I was like, oh no. I was like a little nervous. But with Cohen behind net, I didn't really know, because like he did it with the twos. He did it with the twos. He has the saves that he's been able to do. I mean, very, very fair that he is our Open Cup hero for yesterday.
So it has evolved from Open Cup hero Brandon Vasquez to Open Cup hero Josh Cohen. Is that how this plays?
As of now.
I mean, absolutely.
Okay. So far in Open Cup, it has been, it's been fairly chalky and not necessarily a surprise. You ended up with Atlanta winning NYCFC 2 on top of the parking deck at St. John's. They drew an early red. New Mexico United got the win. Sporting Kansas City in Overland Park beat FC Tulsa, put 4 on them after a red. Sacramento, I thought that division was going to go through Sacramento. Sacramento was tied at 2 after 90 minutes. They beat San Jose 4-3. And then LA beat Loudoun 3-0 last night. Tonight it's Indy 11, Detroit City, Tampa Bay, and Dallas as a part of the discussion. It will be interesting to see how the draw works its way out and what it might look like for Atlanta United in the next round. Who do they send wayward? Basically, is the question. Seattle and Phoenix, you figure that you won't be touching anything there, but you wonder where that scheduling quirk is going to be now with the teams that have advanced, plus what could happen tonight.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, because Tampa Bay, Dallas, that one, I mean, that one's not going to stand out either way. I mean, Dallas wins. I guess that's going to be travel one way or the other. I don't know. There's somebody that's going to get shafted on this one for sure. And I don't know who is the most likely. I mean, I guess technically Loudoun as well. Loudoun could end up having to make a significant.
Loudoun's been shafted already.
Yes, they have.
Loudoun got shafted by having to go all the way out to LA and take and just go. Gee, thanks for putting us in that division.
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, yes, high and hearty salute. And tonight, Indy 11, Detroit City, Tampa Bay hosting Dallas, Seattle hosting Phoenix. Indy 11, no surprise, favored at home at a -135. Tampa Bay is an underdog at home at Al Lang against a Dallas team that's just not very good. Dallas is a +148, and Seattle at Starfire a -175 as Phoenix come to town at a +407. Chalk, LAFC was a -1,000 last night. Sacramento and San Jose went to extra time, but they were a +250 on the draw. Sporting a big favorite. New Mexico United a big favorite. Charleston and Atlanta United, by the way, a +277 if you went 90-minute draw last night. So that was if you were into juice boxes and you went that direction, you had a successful evening, at least in the early sections.
Yeah, you did well. And I thought it was interesting because I know a lot of the chat over on our Discord and stuff was Atlanta is being considered as the least favorite to win this match right now, which I thought was really odd. I guess with taking into consideration form and all that kind of stuff, but I think when you look at an MLS team versus a USL team, regardless of your feelings on which team is better, because Charleston's a great team and Atlanta's having a bad run of form, you tend to expect the MLS team to be the favored one.
Right.
But that wasn't the case, at least last night.
What's going on at Scarves and Spikes, sir?
So I'm gonna be at the beach today. So
there you go.
No, Sydney and Tommy are gonna be holding it down. They're gonna do the show tonight at 7. Working on a guest.
You're not doing it from the beach. You're not gonna be.
I may make a cameo. I don't know, or I might be swatting away sand gnats. I'm not sure yet.
Well, the happy late birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I enjoy the beach.
You feeling a year older?
Yes. I felt a year older last year. No, I'm excited though. It was nice to get away, chill. I know people are like, it was funny. I mentioned it to Pineda last night. I was like, yeah, it's my birthday. And he's like, and you're here? I was like, yeah, man. Like I get to enjoy a soccer game. Regardless, I know some people consider it work, but I love soccer and I got to come out here and enjoy a new field I've never been to and hang out and with the family, and I get to go to the beach tomorrow. Make it a dual purpose trip. So
that's what you do.
Yeah. Met Dale, by the way. Shout out to Dale. Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, it's a fun time. It was a good time. And
all about emotional capital and making sure that you can sit there and it's like, well, we did this. I think I can do this. It's all about the dollars in the jar and the dollars that you can take out of the jar.
Yeah. And I got some good seafood. Seafood. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. Other than that, though, yeah, we got the show tonight, or they got the show tonight, and then we'll be back at it on Saturday.
All right. So we will see you on Saturday. Just have fun, my friend. Congratulations on another lap around the sun at 364.97 Earth days, and we will see you when you get back. Just make sure that you spend quality time and dryer sheets and SPF 50. Dryer sheets and SPF 50. Remember that.
I could look for a sponsor in both of those things right now.
There you go. Yes, exactly. All right. Be well, my friend. We'll see you soon.
All right, see y'all.
All right. That's Tyler. And so the mug was the styrofoam cup from inside the hotel room. And the coffee was hotel coffee. And so he's enjoying the dual purpose trip to Charleston. So it's a good time had by everybody that is a last name of Pilgrim, I would believe.
Absolutely. And listen, sometimes that hotel coffee, very good, especially after when you need it the most. Very good.
Huh. Okay. I've never gone down that road. I've always in those situations, the boss is always packed because that way you get your coffee and you don't have to worry about it. You're just at the mercy of the heat, the hot water, either in the hotel room or at the snack bar. That's the only thing that you're at the mercy of if you bring your own coffee. That's how it swings. Before you go, I know that we've got to address what both Fabrizio Romano and Tom Bogert had put out this morning involving Gigi. safe to say that there is more that we don't know than what we do. But what is being published is from a combination of either. That Cruz Azul came to Atlanta United with an initial $6 million offer for Gigi. According to Fabrizio Romano, the word that he used was that the player is keen to the move, whatever that means. And so keeping an eye on this, Atlanta United said no to the $6 million offer. Gigi, remember, was a $4 million purchase, and all of the bells and whistles and dotted T's and crossed I's before Gigi came in. So we'll monitor that. What we know is that there was an initial offer turned down, and keep an eye on your sources. When it comes to this kind of information, literally it is, we don't know what we don't know. But we did see, obviously, the published reports from both Fabrizio Romano and Tom Bogert. Romano is an overseas Tier 1 A+ source. Check your sources, check your sources, check your sources in these situations. But yeah, so there are rumblings with Gigi and Cruz Azul.
Yeah, and he's a very, very credible source, so I believe that there might be some offers going out from Cruz Azul for sure. But I think people are getting hung up on he's keen to the move. We see that a lot in a lot of these transitions. That's also a lot of just times agents saying like, hey, they're considering it, because obviously you consider every offer you're given. But I mean, he did say only 2 weeks ago that Atlanta is his home right now, and that's what it is. I feel like that there's definitely an offer there. I think there is something. He's open to it, but I think keen to the move, I don't think we should be too hung up on keen to the move, because unless it comes from Gigi himself, we don't know anything.
Yeah. So, like you said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We do know what published sources are saying, and so obviously we'll keep an eye on that. Could be, and I'm just going to put it out, it could be a busy summer for Atlanta United on a couple of different fronts involving some of the bigger name players. But just take the information that is out there and file it away, put it in like a file folder someplace. And as more information is added to the discussion, put that in the file folder as well. Don't sit there and be heavily reactionary about the first piece of information, even if it is a Tier 1 source. So take what we've seen, put it in a folder, put the folder in the filing cabinet, and then continue to add to that folder as we go. But those are over the last day plus, and then Fabrizio Romano's report this morning. Something to keep an eye on, but like I said, we don't know what we don't know. And we do know that Cruz Azul made an offer. Atlanta United said no. And don't be surprised if Cruz Azul decides that they want to come back and continue to have these kinds of discussions. So Thiago Almada at the Olympics, and with Gigi being the man at the front of the spear for Atlanta United, something to keep an eye on. You have to go because you got stuff to do, right?
I do have stuff to do. I'm a little. Today's a little busy. But hey, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yep. So Maddie's going to practice. She's going to go catch up with folks with the Twos, because the Twos have Chattanooga on the weekend. And also later today, extended programs are up in Kennesaw. Where is the Perch? Is that the football practice field that's tucked away off on the top section?
Yeah. So if you're looking at Fifth Third, there's that road that you take to kind of go out. It's not the main entrance that's right by the gates to get into the stadium. If you go down the other way, like if you're leaving, if you keep going, if you go out, you take that left, literally your next left is the Perch.
Okay, so it's the American football practice fields that are up off of that thing, like you're about to go under 575, but you don't. You stop, you turn left, you go up the hill, and it's up in there.
Yeah, it's up in that area. I didn't know it was at the Perch, actually.
Yeah, that was I think that's what the release said. So I think it's going to be at the Perch, and we're going to be catching up with extended national teams, and the CP national team is practicing, and they've got to camp together before things pick up for them in November. So Maddie and I are going to catch up.
I just saw David's comment. That's really funny.
Okay, so David can't figure this Maddie out. I don't know what other Maddies we have. Baffling take on hotel coffee quality being high. Then the extremely mature and measured response about not reading too much into Keen.
Listen, I'm a woman of many traits. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
No, listen. I might be done with college, but I'm still in the college mindset. If I get free coffee, I'm taking it.
Well, but yeah, that's why I said college age take is what David
Yeah,
had.
that's true. That is true. That made me laugh. That was really funny.
So yeah, well, Maddie is anything if not three-dimensional as an individual. So she's that's why she fits in so well, because she puts up with all of our ish on a daily basis. So Maddie and I this afternoon are going to catch up with the CP national team, and we'll have some interviews that will be out this weekend. They're having their camp, getting ready for activity in November, but they're having their camp up at Kennesaw, and so it'll be really cool to catch up with the CP national team and find out what's going on there. There's a couple of local products and some high thoughts and about what the CP national team wants to do on the world stage. And so we're going to be up there at the camp today. They have camp there all week. And so I'll be up there tomorrow with Maddie. Maddie's going to take her SPF 50 and be up there tomorrow as well. And we're going to piece it together, and we're going to have a CP camp review and catch up with some of the folks, and that'll be up this weekend on the network. So it's past 10 o'clock. Get out of here.
Alrighty, y'all. Have a great day. I'll see y'all hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey, that's up to you when you want to punch the button. So it's all up to Maddie when she wants to come in. So yeah, tomorrow is the traditional Thursday. Nico joins us at 10:30, and we've got stuff to talk about all over the place. But yeah, so Maddie's off and running, and she's got stuff to do. So we're going to let her go. Otherwise, we're going to keep talking to her. So Maddie's out of here. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
All right. So there goes Maddie. And so there's Maddie, and she's heading to practice to catch up with the twos after what happened last night. And so we'll catch up with them because they've got a matchup at 7 o'clock in Chattanooga against Chattanooga FC. Boys, there are going to be a lot of academy kids on this roster filling up spaces and things. So it will be interesting involving the twos this weekend. It'll be interesting involving Atlanta United this weekend. And with schedule rotation, 9 matches in 30 days, and you're still alive in Open Cup after what happened last night. So absolutely crazy. And so we'll see what continues here. The draw, let me see when the draw for the round of 8 is. Let me see if we know. I would imagine it's going to be tomorrow afternoon-ish. They'll always make the big announcement and figure out what it's going to look like. I'm sitting here scrolling, trying to see if there's anything quickly involving, okay, when's the grade 8? Every game of the round of 16 live. I don't care. Wrapping up day 1, big deal. We already talked about that. So I think it's going to be tomorrow, but whenever it's posted, we'll let you know what the draw is. And LA, Sacramento, man, LA and Sacramento, if that happens in the next round, that's going to be heavyweights. Sporting, New Mexico United, Atlanta United, they've advanced. 3 more teams advancing tonight. Seattle, big favorite. Wouldn't surprise me if Seattle played, if Seattle was involved. Seattle and Sacramento, that'd be huge. Any team going up against, and that's the thing that we talked about in the first hour. Eastern Conference, we know that Charleston has started out the season undefeated. First 10, no losses. Same for Sacramento. Sacramento quietly, because we're here and they're there, has been assembling this squad. Getting Trevor Ammon, I think, last year was a big part of continuing their offensive successes. They're doing well. They haven't lost a match out of the blocks either. And so I know everybody's sitting there and looking at, man, if we could get Charleston and Sacramento in a final, that'd be huge. Yeah, it would. But Tampa Bay and FC Dallas, keep an eye on Tampa Bay tonight. I don't know what FC Dallas is going to bring to the table. Are they going to try and look at this and throw everything at this matchup because they're X number of wins away from winning a trophy on a substandard season in the Western Conference? Or are they looking at this like a nuisance and they're like, crap, we've got to fly to Al Lang and play Tampa Bay tonight? Indy 11, I think, is a big favorite tonight for a reason. So you could add, Indy 11, Seattle, but I think keep an eye on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is an underdog tonight, and see what's going on with that particular matchup. And yeah, Dell, I'm fine. Everything is fine. So now that we're in hour number 2, there is a lot of business to talk about here this morning. A lot of transactions and things. A lot of news of the AM. And whatever's on your mind this morning here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. That's what Wall Pass Wednesdays are for. Dylan Butler is busy with spring sports, varsity media on the YouTubes, Dylan_Butler on the Twitters. And so we're letting Dylan study. So it's just us here for hour number 2. Morning Ropes, morning Dell, morning Derek, morning Unk. And Unk brought up the GG rumor, so we'll keep an eye on that. Morning Abby. Yes, Ropes. On to New Mexico United. Exactly, true. Morning, Tom. And Tom, about as boring and uninspired a win as you could possibly ever have. Well, hey, bottom line is at the end of the day, you won. You had a bunch of folks out there trying to figure out how to play with one another in a system and try to combat one of the most high-powered offenses in USL Championship. You got it done. Bottom line, you're 3 wins away from a trophy. Now you got LAFC coming to town. And Wiley, morning Wiley, Cohen making a solid bid for starter. Right, and Dell mentions Adam Grinwas being out last night with the Phantom of the Opera nose. All of the subs, Abby, did come in short of Quentin Westberg. That is true. All of them did. You had the 6 subs, and you had the 7 players. You had Quentin Westberg was the only player not to get in the matchup last night. And Dax did, in fact, blow the age curve. Let's see. I'm trying to see who else is. Wiley talking about Mosqueda's touch. And like I said, I mean, Edwin played 120, so Edwin gets to recover. And I think that we found out a lot about what's inside players, meaning in here, the fortitude with a lot of players having to play 120, especially the younger guys. So that's something that you file away and that you learn as a player and that you learn as someone who chases stories and looks at the team on a daily basis. Let's see. So, yeah. Oh, there it is. My phone. There we go. Yeah. Well, and Ropes. Yeah. Separate and apart from the result. The ref had Jason apoplectic. Understandably. I don't know. I mean, literally, and Jared said it was like looking at a 20-sided die. I didn't know what I was going to get from this guy. I legitimately didn't. And he had no rhythm in his calls, and it was intriguing to say the very least. It's like, okay, oh, that's a foul. That's not. You're going to let him play. You're not going to let him play. You're going to do. He was all over the place. Giving yellows for things and then not giving yellows for things. It's like, so when a United player gets a yellow, but Chris Allen doesn't. I mean, he was unpredictable, and having a center ref in a situation like that in a match that is in a competition that is a not one game knockout, that I don't know if that's the kind of influence that you want to have, but that was who drew the particular matchup. And I mean, he was off the rails for both sides. Yeah, and Dell mentions that it was weird he was helping stretch out players. Absolutely, he was. Ropes, let me get back to you. Because one of the best coaches of all time, Washington Sentinels, Jimmy McGinty. We got, you tap your chest with your notes. Tap your chest with your notes. You gotta have heart. That's what you had. But I don't know who would be the starting quarterback versus Shane Falco, though. Ropes is on watching on YouTube. John Roper, resident Evertonian fan. He's one of our A-listers from the absolute beginning. But yeah, you gotta have heart if you're a Washington Sentinel. Abby wonders if he's got a physical therapy degree. The ref. Yeah, man, it was just weird seeing him stretch players out. in the second, and I want to say it was in the added 30. It's like, okay, that's awfully neighborly of you, but yeah, it was just strange, man, to see that. Then let's see, 20 shots to 12. Well, and you did have a keeper cramping, and so he's cramping in that, and you were out of subs, so you couldn't have swapped out even if you wanted to. And I think that when you have a keeper who is either cramping or lands funny or what have you, hey, make him run, make him go from side to side, side to side, side to side. Let him dance. Absolutely, let him dance. And Michael Valverde's in this morning. Morning, Michael. What's alarming is the fact that the whole is worse than the sum of the parts, no matter which lineup takes the field. Dell, definitely a drop-off from Arcanich and Myers to LaCava and Conway. And let's see. David says, I will say the give and go with Edwards and Brennan for the diving header delivered to the back post was great. Brennan's ball back to Edwards to deliver the ball was fantastic. Absolutely. Missed some of the headers. You wonder how snake bit you are in front of the net right now. Let's see. So, morning, Uncle. Morning, Dell. Dell says that there was an MLS Don Garber money bag banner on the stream. Did not see this. That would have been interesting. But of course, I think that if you have a camera crew on site, they're probably telling the producer, hey, this is here, and the producer, in a commercial break or something before the match is going. Or you're looking and you're trying to get your camera's rack focused to where everything to your furthest point will be in focus and pull back. I'm wondering if that was noticed pregame, and then it was you kind of cropped your shots from that particular element with the money bag banner. Did not see that on the broadcast. Also. Let's see. UPF 50 SPF is meaningless. Okay. Thank you, Hutch. I didn't know that. Let's see. Morning, Hutch. Let's see. Yes. Well, and Dell mentions another one of the interesting characters in Charleston, by the way. Tyler, he was asking, and Dell was asking if folks got to see El Chapulín Colorado. And when I noticed that he was in the end zone, that he was absolutely in the end zone, I knew who that was, because growing up, there were, you'd have the Spanish channels, you have Telemundo, and then you would have the old Televisa reruns in the middle of the afternoon. You would see the originator of that character that you saw last night in the end zone in Charleston. You would see those half-hour programs, and it was slapstick, and it was supposed to be slapstick comedy where you had very, very old adults doing children's programming, and one of them dressed like El Chapulín Colorado. I'm trying to roll my R, and it's not really happening yet. But yeah, El Chapulín Colorado is part of TV lore in Mexico, and he is in the end zone in Charleston. So, it was fun to see that element of it all last night as well. Then Badger, morning Badger. Badger says, put shots on Lloris. Always good for one or two boneheaded plays a game. Yeah, that definitely has happened in the past. So, really, and not wrong, but like I said, I want to see what this lineup looks like. Apparently, Ilie out after a handful of minutes, and you had a lot of your big guns playing in the 80s, and I want to know how. I want to know what the lineup looks like. I want to know how rotated they're going to be after what happened. And Emilio, another half season for a new striker to get integrated. I'll show myself out. Yes. Let's see. So Niall wants to bring in Zava. You don't want that kind of a black hole as a part of your as a part of your offense. You don't want that. So let's see. Who else am I missing? Let's see. Morning, Derek. Yeah, Ozzy was there last night. Ozzy was looking like he was enjoying life. He was even. It was a lot of the old guard was there for Charleston being honored. Very, very cool. And yeah, butter in the coffee. Yee, not happening. Alex, personally, if we even double our money, what's the point? You can spend $10 million and still not get the kind of output Gigi's given us unless he's wanting to leave. It makes 0 sense. But like I said, we don't know. We don't know what is in. I mean, what Gigi feels. We know what he says publicly, but like I said, there's a lot more that we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And if he's keen on the move, he's keen on the move. If Cruz Azul's come to the table and they're coming to the table again, okay. I mean, if you can get 8 to 10 million and you get 6 with a percentage of a sell on, or if you just get 8 or whatever, if that's what the player wants and you want to do right by the player, then that's what we'll be keeping an eye on as we go. But like I said, we don't know what's going on. We just know what we're hearing from Fabrizio Romano and Tom Bogert. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's see. Let's see. Uncle's more concerned about quality pieces on the roster, not concerned about ROI. Emilio, bigger question is not the simplistic view of a one-off transaction. If we're in the business of just selling off every high-level player, and get another high-level player, is that good for the fans? But that's Emilio. That's what this is. This is not the baseball that we grew up with. This is not Al Kaline, Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell. It's not that way. If teams are looking at investments, if teams are looking at players, if players are looking at opportunities, it's not, it's not Yogi Berra, Whitey Ford, Ed Kranepool, and I'm trying to think of references of the Mets and the Yankees because that's where you grew up. It's not Posada. It's not Posada, Pettit, Mariano Rivera. It's not that. This sport on a global scale is not that. Some folks will integrate growth from their academies and bring in younger players, as we're seeing with Atlanta United, and do that from the back. What Atlanta United's ideas have been is develop talent, and if they want to stay and they want to be a part of it, then that's a part of the player's own DNA. But if there are places that are interested and the player wants to sit there and see what life is like outside of a certain geographic footprint, then that's what they do. Players go and play all around the planet. Some players want to stay. Some players, that's just a fact of life. Some players want to stay where they are. They're comfortable where they are. They enjoy the life that they have. Some players want to go and they want to travel the world. Soccer, by definition, is not Kranepool, Posada, Pettit, Jeter, Rivera, Kaline Trammell, Robin Yount. That's just soccer's not that way. So if players see the globe as a place that they would like to sit there and venture to, then you want to do right by the player, whatever that is. If the player wants to stay, and you do right by the player. The player wants to go and see what other frontiers are out there, you do right by the player. But all we know right now is what we're told in 280 character app world, plus whatever Tom Bogert has written. Have you noticed that The Athletic is now in New York Times font? That little subtle bit of marketing. That's just how it is these days. If a player wants to stay, he stays. If a player wants to go, you want to do right by the player, whatever they want to do. So we've seen Romano. We've seen Tom Bogert. So there you go. And Del, we haven't even gotten into Mauricio Pochettino. We'll get into that. There's new owners at Inter Milan. There's the carousel. So, we got 45 minutes to get into all this stuff. So there we go. All right. Let's see what else. Oh, I didn't see it. Okay. So, okay. I mean, like, now I had a 55-inch screen, Tom. I didn't see it. I mean, maybe because I was focused on what was going on, but I didn't look in the upper right-hand corner. So, okay. You saw it. I didn't. You got better eyesight than I do. And it looks like Dell has posted it to the 280 character app. Did not see that. Did not. Okay. Thank you. Thank you that I didn't need to roll my R for Colorado. Thank you. Yes, Dave Kingman. And Emilio says he's not looking for Al Kaline. Soccer just about churning and just making excuse we need time to integrate, which is really just a lie because it's just kicking the ball down the field, making money, not about winning. Soccer is not about churn. All you got to do is look at Manchester City. And yes, I know the economics of the example are probably off to the scale. So I think that, Emilio, next time I see you, we probably need to have something along the lines of a long discussion. No, but, I think that Tom, I think that Tom says don't expect guys to stay here 10 years, but if your business model is more selling on players for profit than trophies, the fans lose. Then let me posit this with that particular point. If your morning four card, if the business model is more selling on players for profit than trophies, then that's on you. I mean, a successful if that's your stick, that's your stick. Atlanta United isn't just a business model of selling players for profit than trophies. But if someone's going to come knocking on your door, it would be naive of you to say no. I think we could all agree on that. If you develop talent, the way that this sport is, if you develop talent, and so that's like I said, and four card is getting into the idea where Garth said that Arthur wants trophies, and you get there how you get there. If it's developing young talent, and this is where I think Atlanta United has that medium ground. It's not just where you're like a Messi and Friends, or you're like an LAFC, or those kinds of clubs where you see the international talent. You want to sit there and it's time for Derek to laugh, navigate in and around the salary cap, and what you do is, I think you develop from within, and then you find the pieces that will help you from there. You develop everything. You've started the development process from the back. I mean, look at what happened yesterday. We've seen Efren Morales develop, and center back U continues to flourish. Noah Cobb continues to grow with what he's going. Then you end up with you got Noah Cobb, you got Efren Morales, and you're seeing this wave of players coming through to help you out. But then what you do is you end up adding folks that can help you in the positions where your growth from the inside is, if your crops are center backs and defensemen and keepers and things like that, then what you've got to do to make sure that people come to your storefront is that you've got to fill in those spots. And that's where all of the attacking comes to mind, and the attacking defenders and such, and filling in those pieces from what you don't have, from what you're developing from the back. So, Blank says he wants to win trophies instead of setting records. And I can definitely understand that. And so, there are different ways to do it. And we don't know. Four card, we don't know. Four card's asking if Gigi out-ish for real. We don't know. Like I said, we don't know what we don't know. We've been talking about it for like the last 15 minutes or so. More like 20. Fabrizio Romano, Tom Bogert said this is what's happening. Yorgi Giacomakis publicly has said that he loves being here. Fabrizio Romano has said that the player is keen to the deal, whatever that means. So, like I said, we don't know what we don't know. We have information from two sources publicly, two reporters saying one thing, but we know what Gigi has said publicly. But like I said, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So we'll see. But it should be an interesting summer for Atlanta United. Really should. And so we'll see what the two tier 1As have to say about it. And Tom and I, that the next time we talk, we will definitely be having a longer discussion than we will have on the show, because the show ends at 11:05. And we got a lot of other stuff to get into. Let's see. This morning, now we haven't even gotten into Mauricio Pochettino. We didn't even get into that yesterday. Pochettino out, and it appears that Mauricio Pochettino was the one who kind of laid it out. He was like, yep, here's the deal. I think it's probably best if I move on. Oh, and by the way, the draw for the next round, courtesy of Doug Robertson of the AJC, 10 o'clock tonight. So when the West Coast games are fading, then that's what we'll do. So keep an eye on that. 10 o'clock tonight. 10 o'clock tonight is the draw, and we'll find out what's going on. But get this. According to the Telegraph, with Mauricio Pochettino's stock may have increased, according to Jason Bird at the Telegraph, after leaving Chelsea. What's next for Pochettino? Manchester United and Bayern Munich possible. Spurs unlikely. Jason Burt says that it was a risk for him taking the Chelsea gig. No risk now. Club stock has fallen. Pochettino's has risen. And maybe in the decision to mutually part ways, a sense that he has decided amid his understandable frustration, it's time to quit while he's ahead. So Pochettino will regret maybe not accepting the offer from Villa. Understood that at the time, Pochettino decided to hold out for a Champions League club, irony being that Villa's won now and Chelsea's not. But he can walk away from Stamford Bridge. More than £1 billion have been spent, but no manager would have wanted to assemble this outfit. Crippling injury list, bloated squad, molded them into a team, appears to have been treated with a degree of disdain when it comes to what happens next. 5 victories to finish the campaign with just 1 defeat, the 5-0 loss to Arsenal in 15 league matches, changed the dynamic. The fact he had to, and this is Jason Burt, the fact he had to undertake an internal review with not 1 but 2 sporting directors, Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, was farcical in itself. Logically, it's an indictment that Pochettino's leaving. Header, Pochettino was never the problem. Clear takeaway from watching Chelsea is they're a well-coached team despite being a wholly unbalanced squad. Pochettino was not and never was the problem. They would have been nowhere without him this season. Yes. Kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. Full disclosure. I was looking at Dallas television the other day. And everyone in Dallas television, especially during the National Football League season, is wondering what the hell is going on with the Dallas Cowboys. Is it the coaching? Is it the players? Is it whatever? And one particular person in the media in Dallas basically said it's the Joneses. It is Jerry and Steven. And only when Jerry and Steven remove themselves from the day-to-day operations of the club and you bring in actual football people, the Dallas Cowboys will improve. I think what you're seeing with Chelsea right now with Bowley Clearlake is pretty much the same thing. Where you have Todd Bowley wanting to assemble all of these different toys. And it's like, ooh, I want that, I want that, I want that. It's like he wandered into Sharper Image and is like, I want that. I want the remote controlled helicopter. I want the vibrating easy chair. I want the metronome. I want the internal. I want the blue water self-contained waterfall. I want the radio operated pet. I want this. I want this. I want this. It's like literally Todd Bowley wandered into Sharper Image and said, I want to buy the most expensive stuff in the store. I want the 98-year-old bottle of wine. I'm not going to open it, but I want it. And I think it's the same thing. I really do. Todd Boehly has a very expensive toy, and he wants all of the pieces to be a part of his expensive toy or like his club or whatever. I think Chelsea are the Dallas Cowboys right now in their current form. The only way that things will get better with Chelsea is if Todd Boehly leaves it alone, and he won't do it. He won't do it. So what you've got right now is a guy with a club spending a boatload of money, and he wants to bring in all the toys, and whoever they bring in as manager is stuck with those toys. Mauricio Pochettino pieced it all together, especially late in the year when they were all healthy. Had that run of 5, had the one loss, so he wins 5 of the last 6. And he's just like, yeah, I got to go. So now Pochettino's back out on the market. Who does Chelsea bring in? And this literally is like Roman Abramovich all over again, except it's just a new owner. Where and this was the first time that I could think of where the manager was like, I don't think I should be here. Instead, in the Abramovich era, they were the ones who were doing the firing. You have a situation with Boehly Clear Lake where Mauricio Pochettino, after having a multi-person review, is like, yeah, I probably need to go. No, I don't think I need to go. No, Emilio, if Gigi and Almada go, Pineda will say he didn't have a consistent roster, deserves an extension or a new contract. What would you do? Let me phrase it this way. And Nick pretty much phrased this point. It was going to be, if I was Garth, right now, we do this on the Twitch pitch a lot. It's not pretending. It's having honest discussion. Going into this season, this was a contract year for Gonzalo Pineda. Gonzalo Pineda and Garth Lagerwey knew what the expectations were. That should be the end of the discussion. If expectations are not met, then there should be a serious discussion at the end of this season about an extension. But everybody knows what the expectations were. So this is going to be a quick conversation. It's a quick topic. If expectations are not met, then it is up to the front office to decide whether or not Gonzalo Pineda deserves a contract extension. So there you go. Literally, that's it. Last year of a contract. Expectations being what they are. Did you meet expectations? A, yes. B, no. I don't mean to make it sound as simplistic as that much of a multiple choice test, but did you meet expectations? If expectations were met, then there you go. That should be the end of it, yeah? I don't know if there are other fees, Del, but it's just like you pay out the balance of the contract, which whatever that is for this season. So, but I also think that it speaks a lot of the players that regardless of competition, Wiley, that's what Garth said. Expectation was a home playoff game, so that'd be a 4 seed. So expectation coming into the year was a home playoff game. Going into this season, all things being equal, 100% healthy with the roster that was constructed, I could see that. That has not happened to date. So, right now, the way things are, look at the standings. Eastern Conference. To get to the 4 seed, right now you're 10 points out of 4th. So that's the work you got to do. But yeah, no, home playoff game, 4th seed. So we'll see what attendance. Dell has been in the 30s. Been in the 30s. I mean, obviously the tickets are still purchased, and the announced ticket figures are tickets sold and not butts and seats. So I mean, they've been 30,000 and such. So, so that's what you're staring at. I mean, no, it's not the same 40,000 plus, but you're still getting like 30,000 and such. So that's what you're at. Sorry, I'm staring at breaking news involving Graceland. Okay. Other news. The women's national team, Emma Hayes, put out her first squad. And UEFA has confirmed the venues for the 26 and 27 European finals. Puskás Arena staged the European 2 years in 26, and San Siro is going to host it in 27. So we got that news this morning. Squad announcement for Scotland. As you know, we have teams that have been laid out over the last couple of days. It'd be nice if my, if my phone would behave and I could actually like look at information. But if you're only just going to jam up and lock up, then I don't want anything to do with you. So, okay. So also Inter Milan. We talked about this with Nick occasionally. Inter Milan, U.S. fund Oaktree has assumed ownership from Suning. This is from Agence France Presse. This happened before the show this morning. Inter Milan entered an uncertain new era after U.S. fund Oaktree took control of the Serie A champs following outgoing owners Suning defaulting on a debt worth hundreds of millions of euros. Oaktree announced they had, quote, assumed control of Inter after the non-repayment of a 3-year loan to Inter Milan's holding companies that matured on the 21st, yesterday, with a total balance of $428 million. Suning and President Stephen Zhang relinquished control of Inter to Oaktree 3 days after the team were officially crowned champs for the 20th time. Suning borrowed €275 million at over 12% interest 3 years ago to pay staff and players during COVID, and putting up their controlling stake in the club as collateral. Inter have ended up in the hands of Oaktree in a manner similar to the way Elliott took control of the local rivals Milan back in 2018. Elliott became Milan's owners when Lee Yong-hong was unable to repay a loan he'd taken out when he bought the club from Silvio Berlusconi's Fininvest the previous year. Oaktree, which manages $192 billion in assets, said they're committed to working closely with Inter Milan's current management team partners, the league and governing bodies, to ensure the club is positioned for success on and off the pitch. So what we're going to do is, with our two new friends, we're going to report them and block them and now that I've finally learned how to do this, I feel so much better now that I can actually do this kind of stuff and actually write down the time that stuff like this happens. So that's one. Now, Triton Ionov, whoever you are, you're going to get reported and blocked as well. So spam, nothing like doing this on live radio and live TV. Because if I don't do it now, then I'll forget to do it later. And submitting my report, blocking the user. And there we go. Oaktree also suggested a period of belt tightening might be on the way. Never heard that before. Saying they would work toward Inter's long-term prosperity with an initial focus on operational and financial stability. Posted losses of €85 million, following even heavier losses of €140 million and €245.6 million in the previous 2 seasons, partially or fully closed due to pandemic. Zhang had widely been reported as negotiating a further €430 million loan with another U.S. fund, PIMCO, to pay off Oaktree and complete extensions not just for Martinez, but for Barella and Inzaghi. Deal never materialized. And Zhang, who hasn't been to Italy in over a year and lost a court case with China Construction Bank over personal debts of €320 million, quietly ended his presidency after blasting Oaktree for jeopardizing the financial stability. So there you go. That just does not that don't look good for Inter. But so that's a slight piece of the news. Yesterday also on the news and notes on the board. It was Emma Hayes announcing her first squad, and it was a couple of new faces. And Bart, I'm sure, will talk about this on the Soccer for US POD. 23 players for matches against Korea Republic at Dick's Sporting Goods Park June 1st, and then moving to St. Paul for the June 4 match at Allianz. 3 keepers, obviously, with Alyssa Nair's injury: Jane Campbell, Aubrey Kingsbury, Casey Murphy. Defenders: Davidson, Fox, Gierma, Kruger, Neiswanger, Sonnet, and Sam Stab getting a call-up. That's an interesting one. Midfielders: Corbin Albert, Sam Coffey, Hal Hirschfeld. Local product gets a call-up. Very, very cool. Lindsay Horan, Rose Lavelle, Lily Johannes. And forwards: Crystal Dunn, Katerina Macario, Alex Morgan, Trinity Rodman, Jaden Shaw, Sophia Smith, Mallory Swanson. So 19 players who helped win She Believes, and features the return of Rose Lavelle's 2 appearances away, becoming the 43rd player to reach 100 caps. NWSL leading scorer, Colorado native Sophia Smith, leads the league in shots and shots on target. Lindsay Horan, also a Colorado native, and leads a contingent of 5 players who played in Europe this year: Macario, Fox, Horan, Albert, and Johannes. Other 18 players come from the NWSL. 27-year-old Chicago Red Stars defender Sam Stab, Hirschfeld, and Johannes, 3 uncapped players on the roster. Second consecutive call-up for Johannes, who was on the She Believes Cup roster but did not see action in either match. 3 training players who will not be on game rosters but will train with the team during camp: Olivia Moultrie, Croy Bethune. You can catch, by the way, we've got some 1v1s with Hirschfeld and Bethune before the season started with the NWSL. They're on the network. And Kate Wiesner. For Bethune and Wiesner, both youth national team vets. It'll be their first training experience with the senior team. Moultrie has 4 caps and 2 goals, scoring both of those in the CONCACAF World Cup. Speaking of extended national, the deaf national team, coached by Amy Griffin, selected 18 players for the friendly against Australia, part of that doubleheader June 1st on TV. Very, very cool stuff there. True TV, Universo, Max, and Peacock. And headlining the roster, 3 all-time appearance leaders and co-captains: Kate Ward from Atlanta, Sydney Andrews, and Female Deaf Player of the Year Emily Spreeman from Fountain Valley, California, 27 goals and 23 appearances. Checking the roster for any others, Beth Barbiers, who has 3 caps, is also from Atlanta. She's going to get she's a part of that roster as well. And so Kate Ward and Beth Barbiers on the roster for the deaf national team. Very, very cool stuff. Because remember, they're part of that doubleheader that's going to be on television, and it's going to be very, very cool to see that come forward as well. Okay, now that I've gone off the rails, yeah, Hutch, personal debt, absolutely, yes, personal debt. I'm trying to see what other news is out there this morning. As we go. Like I said, we talked about last night, the Open Cup draw tonight at 10 o'clock, the matchups. So it'll be before Seattle and Phoenix actually kick off. So we'll know 7 of the 8. And so I'm anticipating that the winner of Seattle and Phoenix is going to stay out west, and it's not going to be some weird A crossover where they're going to have to go from one end of the planet to the other and see what's going to happen there. So we'll see. We'll see how that works its way forward as well. Final selections. Everton is still interested in Benfica's Florentino Luis. They had a 30 million euro offer rejected in January. He's got a 120 million euro release clause. Despite ownership uncertainty, Everton is considering another Luis bid. He's won 2 Premier League titles at Benfica. That's courtesy of our buddy Ben Jacobs this morning. And as things will continue there involving all of that behavior. So Nick is in this morning. And Nick, I mentioned what was going on with Oak Tree taking over for Suning. If you would please grant some context and quoting Vince Lombardi, what in the hell's going on out there?
Well, money troubles in Serie A is what's going on out there. We have, in the old days of Serie A, you had billionaires battling each other for supremacy, right? It was all bragging rights. It was it was an interesting time, right? So you had Berlusconi and Moratti, and then you had the Agnelli up at Juve. And then when financial fair play came along, the billionaires got out. They just said, yeah, we know what the economic realities are of this. And so we're not going to be able to do this, and we need to step away. And they did. Mm-hmm. Berlusconi for different reasons. He was
kind of occupied.
Yeah, Berlusconi was rather occupied with legal challenges, shall we say?
Yes.
But then you had these new groups of owners coming in, especially those from the Far East, and you had a major issue with mystery money that people claimed was there and really wasn't, and people who claimed to be rich, and those claims were tested and
oh, by the way.
Yeah, and oh, by the way. But so whenever you were purchasing these teams, you had people who received additional financial backing. So Elliott Fund was backing Young Hong Lee in his purchase of AC Milan. And then you had Oaktree, who backed the Suning purchase. Now, both of these are American hedge funds, and they specialize in backing distressed assets. Mm-hmm. And there are interest payments that come up with this, right? So you have to make your interest payments. And Young Hong Lee for Milan couldn't even make his interest payments, right? He was trying to get just the interest covered and couldn't make it happen. And so he lost control of the team to Elliott. And then you had Suning, who tried to get delays on payments and tried to get, interest payments put off, and that wasn't able to happen. So Oaktree took over. And I mean, it's clear in the contract, Willy Wonka, it's subsection C, Article 12, paragraph 2, you lose. Uh-huh. And so that's
good day, sir.
Yeah, that's essentially what's happened now. So now two large American hedge funds have had significant play in Serie A. And it's going to be very interesting. I would suggest, and I'm not an Inter supporter in any way, but I am certainly happy with the fact that a hedge fund is acting as a stopgap to prevent these teams from being like wound up, right? Yeah. And so to keep them from having to shut down or drop down to the bottom of the table, this is the best option available. You see what happens with Bolton and Bury, and these owners who say, okay, we're bankrupt. Sorry guys, have no more money. And then they just get shut down. Right. But in this case, you're talking about having hard fiscal restraint put into place. The team is still operational. They're not going bankrupt. And what will happen now is that Oaktree will, and now that they're in complete control of Inter, we'll say, okay, where are the gaps that we can pave over essentially? And how can we make this financially viable and then sell it? It's exactly what Inter did, or actually what Elliott did with AC Milan is right. What's going to happen now with Inter and Oaktree. Who will come in to buy Inter is going to be one of the great things to watch coming up. Will it be one of the Middle Eastern nation states coming in to buy Inter? Will it be an American billionaire? And yeah, Hutcho, it is vulture capitalism at its purest. Italy does not have the financial steroid of amazing TV deals. Yeah, they're not answering you. That's a spam. That's a spam call. Yeah, they're calling me right now. Stop talking, Nick. Stop talking.
Exactly.
But Italy doesn't have that. And I'm, again, like I said the other day, I'm not mad at England for having an amazing TV deal, but they have it, and really no one else does. So the mechanisms to get yourself out of financial trouble the mechanisms are very limited in Serie A. So you have to have things like vulture hedge funds backing you unless you put all of your own chips into play, which there's no billionaire, American billionaire who's really going to do that. They're all going to have some sort of fund backing them because they want to maintain enough assets, enough liquid capital to be able to, handle the rest of their businesses, not put all the eggs into one basket. The larger question at play here is going to be, what is Serie A going to do when you have, because you do have a top four, whether you want to believe it or not, it's Juve, it's Milan, it's Inter. And then from a fiscal perspective, you're probably looking at Roma coming in at 4. You have three of these groups that are outright owned by Americans, and one that's owned by a conglomerate that is led by an American. Mm-hmm. Serie A is in a bit of a crisis right now, and financial fair play is a part of the issue. But I'm sorry, the Italian public is also at play here because they have to be the ones to show up. And, across the board, the finances are not looking good. Juve, one of the most successful teams in Europe over the past 2 decades, have been busted cooking the books, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in what normal world does this happen? If this was England, they wouldn't need to do that. They wouldn't need to cook the books. They would be perfectly fine just cashing those TV deals and moving about their way. The dinosaurs are blocking the progression of calcio. They're blocking the ability by causing these stupid TV deals. And then when they finally do get a good TV deal, saying, well, we might be able to do better, right? We see this with Paramount Plus. So, there's no one magic silver bullet that's going to fix what's happening in Serie A, but it will be interesting to see how more American ownership starts shaping the politics of Serie A, especially when it comes to racism, because we all know that racismo is a big issue there.
Yes.
How will they sort that? How will they sort the politics that, that govern the way that calcio is played? And how is that going to butt up against what the Italian public wants? So there's a lot of stuff in play here, but yeah, Hutcho nailed it. Very crystal clear in a very short sentence. Vulture capitalism at play is what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, and when you have folks who claim to have this amazing financial portfolio, it's like, hey, I'm here. I've got this. I think, hey, now I want to buy a club. And then you put up whatever wimpy-based economics you have for whomever, and I'll take your money to help me out here, and then you don't want to pay the piper when it's time, especially when you go to a hedge fund at a 12% interest rate, and then you come out over the weekend and you sit there and you wag your finger and go, well, you guys, you didn't treat me right, or you didn't do it fairly, and rar, complete with the rar. This is a you problem for sitting there and overextending yourself in the first place. And when AFP mentioned that Suning tried to go to another hedge fund to get money to pay off the original hedge fund, that should be a blanking red flag.
Yeah. So you can be asset rich and cash poor.
Uh-huh.
And so that is what it's looking like here. They have assets. They just don't want to liquidate assets to pay their bill. And whether that's because they had projections that said that the assets will be worth more down the road, or because they don't want to drop the curtain to expose the real situation here. Everything at that level of finance outside of the nation state guys is a confidence game. So it's, we have assets here and we have assets there and this corporation, and we have, I'm sorry, at the end of the day, there's one magical term here, and that is value to shareholders, right? And so if you're a corporation, you have to provide value to shareholders. You can't do the confidence game to infinity and back, right? Because at some point, you have to, especially if you do business in America. And this is a little secret trick that I'm going to give to all of our sales reps that listen to the show. If you, and this is coming from someone who used to do Fortune 500 sales, every publicly traded company in the United States or that does business in the United States has to put out a form called Form 10K, right? Form 10K is how the company assesses risk, right? So if you're trying to find pain points for a company, all you got to do when you go to the annual report is go to Form 10K. And they will break out, okay, we are looking to expand into the Far East. We are going to, these are some challenges. We think we may go up against Chinese investors. We may go against, cybersecurity attacks. We may go against physical security attacks. We may be over leveraged in some of our real estate acquisitions. We may need to look at that, rising cost of rent, etc. All of these things are listed in Form 10K. And if you're listening to this and your eyes are glassing over, trust me, that's what they want to have happen. They want your eyes to glass over whenever you're looking at Form 10K. But 10K is a cheat sheet. And what happens is whenever you are a conglomerate and you go seeking funding, these funders, these hedge funds are going to go right to Form 10K. And they're going to say, okay, looking at our giant global map here and where this company has assets, what's the likelihood? What's the chance that these guys get themselves into hot water? And if you're doing business, if you have a lot of liquidity in the Far East, it's going to be pretty damn high because your cash is directly tied to a central planning committee. And if you piss off that central planning committee, your access to that liquidity is going to be gone overnight. Young Hong Lee's money evaporated, Suning's money evaporated. And this is where everything tends to go sideways. Nation state, right? Your Middle Eastern countries, they don't have Form 10K, right? They don't have to worry about that. What they do is they just pump more oil. Look, for anybody who wants to get mad at me for saying that, go look at what the primary export for these countries are that are backing these teams, and please get back to me. It is easier for Qatar. It's easier for Saudi Arabia to get these teams out of financial peril. There are more mechanisms for them to get these teams into a better state faster. But from a public perception, from a PR perspective, it is easier to have an American ownership group because you don't have to worry about, the blood money. You don't have to worry about sports washing. It's just, here is some, a-hole American billionaire who's going to come in here and buy the team. So it's far easier and more palatable to have that. So some of these hedge funds, look for an American billionaire to come in and buy enter. But if the hedge fund says we need to dump this asset as quick as possible and with as little work as possible, it's going to go to a Middle Eastern consortium. And so there's a lot of things to play on here. But again, Form 10K, just look at the billionaire in question, look at the businesses they own, go search Form 10K, and then say, all right, this is an ownership group that can probably survive this, and this is an ownership group that might have a little more difficulty. It's when you start playing in this space, it gets really, really interesting.
Yep. Michael Valverde asking, could they take the clubs public or sell shares to communities? Ego and economics would prevent that.
They could take here's the thing. Where are you going to take it public is the question. Are you going to take it public in America? Are you going to list it on the American Stock Exchange? Are you listing in Europe? What are the hurdles you have to jump through to do that? Keep in mind, Juve is public. It's a publicly traded company. And what all the owners are seeing is what happened with Juve when they started cooking the books, and Guardia di Finanza, essentially the tax man with guns, showed up and started raiding offices. there are positives and negatives to taking a business public, any business. Ask anyone who has grown a business from startup to sort of that tipping point. Do we stay private? Do we go public? The problem with going public is the minute you start introducing, shares, you're going to have a couple of different, I'm trying to go without going too deep in the weeds here.
Power's diluted at that point.
It's diluted. And there's a difference between you having basic normal shares, right? And then like the premium shares, right? Like the ones where they give you a seat at the table.
The A and the B shares.
Right. So the main issue you have is you are going to have people who start buying the premium shares, the A level shares, and they're going to want a seat at the table. So when you get that seat at the table, who's sitting next to you? Is it these venture cap guys who are going to start stripping your club, right? Essentially what they do is it's like a pump and dump. So they pump in cash to make it appear very stable, to be essentially a sleeping giant is what they're trying to give the illusion of. And then you strip the club for parts,
right?
Or you strip the business for parts. Look at what happened with Red Lobster, right? Red Lobster used to own, they used to own the dirt that the restaurants were sitting on, right? They used to own the restaurants. So you had more money to play with. Then venture cap came in, sold all the dirt out from underneath the Red Lobsters, charged them rent. Yeah. And so now you have them declaring bankruptcy. Venture cap doesn't care. They don't care that Red Lobster is going away. They only cared about the fact that everyone came in, they got rich, they got out. So half of big business is not just knowing when to get into business, but it's also knowing when to get out. So you had the .com boom. You had people like Mark Cuban, right? Mark Cuban got in at the .com boom, and then he got out at the right time. So he kept his billions, right? Then you had a lot of other people who got in, got super rich, did not know when to get out, and lost all their money. So these venture cap guys come in and they get all their money and they get right out. So it's this is something that, yeah, you did stumble into a business webinar. I'm sorry. But if you want to know why these clubs are dealing with this is why, because the economics are very, very different than what they used to be. And when you have venture cap come in and start playing in this space, the clubs that you know and love that we talk about now becoming an asset are going to be stripped for parts just like any other business. So it's a confidence game. It's a racket. The more financially stable clubs, you're going to have the days of, we are competitive, we're winning Champions League. Those days are gone. Now it's like, can we be stable? That's the new goal, which is terrifying. So get you a top flight club that you love and adore, and then make sure you have a really stable second or third division club that your heart resides with. So the one that's not attractive to venture capitalists, like Siracusa, right? Or Catania or Palermo. You could just Palermo's owned by Citigroup.
You got to worry about Pro Rel is what you got to worry about there with Serie A and Serie B and Serie C.
But that's fine. So, or here stateside, find you, you can love Arsenal, you can love Man United, but then go cheer on South Georgia Tormenta.
Yeah, like Dell and the Charleston Battery.
There you go. Or Dell with the Charleston Battery. Find these clubs that allow you a little more stability than what you're dealing with.
Nikki Glazer. Gronk, no, that's not real money. Urgh. Yes, exactly. Let's see. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. I didn't get your thoughts about what happened for a long time last night involving Atlanta United making it out of the round of 16, heading into the round of 8. Draw tonight at 10 o'clock. What'd you think? They made it. They advanced past Dell's Charleston Battery. Dell has been lamenting all show long, actually. What'd you think, Nick?
Which part?
Atlanta advancing Open Cup, sir.
Well, it's a win.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win, which is great. I
sense your enthusiasm.
Yeah. I mean, look, you got to get a win by hook or by crook. You got to get a win. So it is. It's great that you have that, but in my opinion,
yeah,
and I'm sorry to say this, it's not impressive. You should not have. And Charleston Battery's having a great year.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. I don't, and even with a B-level roster, B-level starting 11, for me, it shouldn't have gone to penalties. That's just my 2 cents. It should not have gone to penalties. Shout out to Cohen. I mean, you're seeing what what the future is. Maybe after Brad is done, if Cohen stays, then you have something that could be pretty special coming up. It's great to have a succession plan, but I didn't see anything in that game that made me go, "Oh, okay, baby. All right. We got something." You won in a penalty shootout. Great. It should have been done a hell of a lot faster than that. And that's just my 2 cents. Uncle No Pocket says, I agree with Nick, but to be fair, it's probably closer to a C-level roster. Perhaps. You may be right. Zio No Pockets. I may agree with you on that one.
There you go. Let's see. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. Once again, we mentioned Pochettino being on the roster for Folk. Stuttgart manager Sebastian Hoeneß and Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna sounded out by Chelsea to replace him. Girona boss Michel and Enzo Maresca also likely to be among the names under consideration by Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel's held loose talks with Chelsea about returning to the club, according to Florian Plettenberg at Sky Germany. Man City open to offers for Ederson, who's attracting interest from Saudi Arabia. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Four-letter paper says Manchester United exploring the possibility of signing Crystal Palace defender Mark Gahey if they fail to strike a deal with Everton for Jared Branthwaite. Everton have also placed a minimum price tag of £80 million on Branthwaite, who's gotten interest from Newcastle and Spurs. United in a position to spend heavily in the summer transfer window as big losses in recent years are now dropping out of their PSR calculations. Spurs contemplating a summer swoop for Dominic Solanke at Bournemouth. Arsenal, Manchester United, and Liverpool have made contact with Benfica over a potential deal for center back Antonio Silva. Arne Slot has placed Benfica and Turkish midfielder Orkun Koşu at the top of his wish list. Spurs have asked Chelsea about the availability of Trevor Chalobah as they want to launch the raid for him and Conor Gallagher. United and Bayern Munich sent scouts to watch 18-year-old Malian midfielder Malik Junior Yalkuye, who plays for Göteborg in Sweden. Villa lodged a £13 million bid for Sevilla's defender Marcus Acuna. Villa also interested in Italy defender Raul Bellanova after impressing during his first season with Torino, but West Ham and Manchester United also keen. West Ham considering a summer move for Serhou Guirassy, 28 Bundesliga goals for Stuttgart. Spurs will rival Villa for Italy defender Andrea Cambiaso, who is valued at £34 million by Juve. That's from our friends at Calcio Mercato. And Fulham and West Ham have held talks with Corinthians over the possibility of signing 19-year-old Brazilian forward Wesley. That's your gossip and rumor and innuendo for today. A very, very busy day across the board in a bunch of different levels. Yeah. And we got an economics reminder from Nick. I won't say it's a lesson because it's something that we talk about a lot.
It is, and I know like there are shows out there that will tell you, oh, so and so was subpar. They shouldn't be on the field. Blah 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 blah. They sit there and they do hot take after hot take, right? Mm-hmm. There's nothing hot take-ish about what's happening out in from the global economic perspective in the sport.
Yeah,
and it is stuff that you have to be for 5 minutes willing to pay attention to if you claim to be a big fan of these larger teams, because it is a different world than what a lot of these pundits grew up in. Mm-hmm. And some of these guys are old enough, to know the origin, like where it's it's a group of longshoremen. Okay, no, those days are gone, man. They're gone. So your favorite club, my favorite club, is an asset. They are bought, sold, and traded. I'm talking about the club, not the players.
Yep.
On a daily basis. So, it would benefit you. It would behoove you, as they used to say in boot camp. They used to say that regularly, to pay attention to this, because it would behoove you to probably put a little bit more of an arm's distance between you and your favorite international club, just because the economics are really, really screwy right now, and the conglomerates are buying them, and they are treating them like an office building in Singapore or St. Louis or Omaha. There's no difference between how the corporation views those assets and your favorite club. And they may say the fans this, the fans that. At the end of the day, if the risk portfolio says, hey, this is an asset you may want to get rid of, they're going to get rid of it. So it is what it is. And Uncle No Pockets and Dell, come on, we must have peace. We must have peace. We must have peace on the Twitch pitch. There's no fighting in the war room.
Good luck on that, sir. Let's see. Sergi Boyko has been announced as the man in the middle for LAFC and Atlanta United on the weekend. And when our friends at Pro will let us know what the numbers are when it comes to how they call matches, we'll let you know, because they've yet to publish a new set of statistics for 2024. So all good. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. Once again, Nico will join us at 10:30, and we'll get you ready for anything and everything going on in and around the planet when it comes to the world of stuff. That's the official term. So, Nick, since you are here, I will let you go ahead and send us home as Dell and Uncle are trading haymakers here as we go this morning.
All right. Well, I hope that Zio No Pockets and our dear friend Dell are all well and good.
Yes.
So yes, but anywho, just keep in mind, guys, that sports can be fun if you look at it with a remotely healthy viewpoint. And one of those things are because, it's a business now. So the healthier you look at it, the better up you're probably going to be. Okay. So, but hey, look, shout out seriously to the Battery. They played their asses off last night. Seriously, you watch that game, you can see those boys were running at 110 miles an hour to try to get the result. They've had a great season. Atlanta, all right, you got one. That's great. Go get another one. And, healthy, positive view. Momentum, baby. Let's go. Just win, baby. Al Davis time. Until next time, everyone, mucho, Euro, y'all.
What he said, back 9:05 tomorrow morning as we roll through another day of soccer down here. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us. Mucho plot, y'all.